Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Raja Umar on my channel RU Speaks, and we are discussing the IGCSE Olevels Pakistan studies these days, and we are talking about the component one. I mean, the history and culture of Pakistan, and we are almost at the end of the section one. I mean, we have talked about the overall syllabus of the content of the you can say the history of Pakistan, and then we talked about the paper pattern, the marking schemes of all the questions, and then we moved towards the syllabus content. I mean, the topics. We talked about the Mughal Empire. We talked about the decline of the Mughal Empire, Aurangzeb's regime, and then we talked about the arrival of the British and East India Company. And then we moved to the further topics of the religious thinkers, and then we talked about the War of Independence, and then the events after the War of Independence related to the two nation theory, Aligarh movement, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's role in the gaining the rights for the Muslims of the subcontinent. Now, at that particular time, when we talk about the end of the topic of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, we can say that now we are at the end of the section one. But while explaining all these topics related to Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and related to the all other topics, we have explained the 7 marks questions, 14 marks questions, and 10 marks questions all the way through, but we did not touch the 4 marks questions of all these topics. So today we are going to talk about the 4 marks questions, that they may come up as a part of each question, or if the question comes as the compulsory question, that 4 marker can be switched to 3 marker question over there as the source based question of question 1A. So my focus is today to explain the 4 marks questions over here for section 1 of the history. And now here I have the questions over here, the 4 marks questions from section 1, and we are going to discuss them over here today, that what questions may come up. There can be many others, but I will try to compile the rest of the questions as well. But here I have these ones in front of me. That is the topics covered from here, right from the decline of the Mughal Empire, start of the British rule and reformers, including Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and War of Independence is all included. Who was Aurangzeb? So this is a 4 marks question. He was the 6th Mughal emperor. His father was Shah Jahan and mother was Mumtaz Mahal. He was an Islamic ruler and imposed the jizya tax and abolished sati. He divided his empire into his 3 sons. So you can see he was the 6th ruler of Mughal Empire. So it means 1 point is explained over here. His father was Shah Jahan and mother was Mumtaz Mahal. So point number 2 is explained over here. So he was an Islamic ruler and imposed the jizya tax and abolished sati. So being that point, you can say this is point number 3. So he divided his empire into his 3 sons. So point number 4. So it can be a 4 marks question overall if 4 points are mentioned in that response as well. So next one, that is, what was jizya tax? It was a tax on non-Muslims living in an Islamic country. Number 1, this tax was stopped by Akbar but restarted by Aurangzeb. So again, point number 2, this was a reason of uprising against Aurangzeb. So point number 3. So you can say another point, you can mention that Hindus got annoyed because of imposing this tax, by this tax, for point number 4. So this can be a 4 markers question over here. So in the same way, next one, who were Marathas? So they were a group in South India, Hindu group. They were a sort of rebels over there. So point number 1, under the leadership of Shivaji, large Maratha empire was established over there in South India. Point number 2, and a bit developed that the name of that the leader of Marathas was also given. So the Marathas leader was called Peshwa. So again, point number 3, They were defeated by Ahmad Shah Durrani, who was called by Shah Waliullah to get rid of them. So 4 points are there. 4 marker. Who was Shivaji? He was the Maratha leader. Number 1. He founded the Maratha Empire over there in South India. He was a ruthless leader, very cruel. He was born in Pune. He promoted Sanskrit language. He gave very tough time to Mughal emperors to rule smoothly, very especially in southern India. So 5th point is also given over here. So a 4 marker. Who was Robert Clive? He was a British officer in India. He was also known as Clive of India. He was seen as founder of the British India. He commanded the British army in the Battle of Plassey against Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowla and he defeated him. Number 3. So he was made the Nawab of Bengal, ruler of Bengal at that time, and he was a sort of de facto ruler. On the other hand, it was the son of Mir Jafar. Mir Jafar was first made over there, and then his son Mir Qasim. So describe the Battle of Buxar. The Battle of Buxar was fought between the forces of British East India Company led by Hector Munro and the combined armies of Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowla, and the Nawab of Oudh, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. This battle fought at Buxar within the territory of Bengal, a town located on the bank of Ganges River, was a decisive victory for the British East India Company over there. So about 4 or 5 points are mentioned over there, so it means that it is a 4 marks question. So next one, describe the Battle of Plassey. It was a battle between the British East India Company and the forces of Siraj-ud-Dowla and his French allies. British defeated the larger army of Siraj-ud-Dowla. It was because Clive bribed Mir Jafar, a key commander of Nawab's army. Later he was made the Nawab of Bengal, Mir Jafar. So again 4 points are mentioned over here for a 4 marks question. Who was Tipu Sultan? He was the ruler of Kingdom of Mysore. He was son of Hyder Ali. He was also known as the Tiger of Mysore. He won 2 Anglo-Mysore wars but was martyred in the 4th Anglo-Mysore War in 1799. So it means that again 4 points are mentioned over here to gain 4 marks. What was Black Hole event? The Black Hole event of Calcutta was the small dungeon in the old Fort Williams at Calcutta. There the troops of the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowla, held British prisoners of war. After the capture of the fort, 123 prisoners died out of 146 prisoners held over here, as there was a small hole in a small sort of compound, and people were really very much suffocated inside that small compound, and they died just because of lacking of oxygen inside. So 123 prisoners died over there. So that led to the Battle of Plassey. This particular event led to the Battle of Plassey of 1757, in which war the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowla, was defeated. What was the Regulating Act of 1773? The Regulating Act of 1773 was an act of the Parliament of Great Britain intended to overhaul the management of the East India Company's rule in India. It was replaced by Pitt's India Act later of 1784. It made the East India Company accountable to the British Parliament. As previously, the East India Company was ruling the whole of the subcontinent of its own with really very cruel sort of laws and even no laws. So after this act, the East India Company was made accountable to the British government that what the company was doing over there in India. So later, this particular act was replaced by Pitt's India Act when whole of the East India Company affairs went directly into the control of the British government. What was Pitt's India Act of 1784? Pitt's India Act was an act of the Parliament of the Great Britain intended to bring the East India Company rule in India under the control of the British government. Pitt's India Act provided for the appointment of a board of control and provided for a joint government of British India by both the company and the crown. The governing board was constituted with 6 members. So it means that now the management of East India Company was appointed by the British government. Now that is known as the Pitt's India Act. As the British government was looking the affairs of the India, that the East India Company was mismanaging a lot in India. So just to have the better control, better management of East India Company, the British government involved itself in the affairs of the subcontinent by appointing a sort of committee, board of control with the 6 members committee to look into the affairs of India and the East India Company. What was subsidiary alliance? The doctrine of subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Wellesley. Many small rulers signed it as it gave them security against attack by their neighbors. The Nizam of Hyderabad was the first to enter into such an alliance. Tipu Sultan of Mysore refused to do so, but after the British victory of the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Mysore was forced to become the subsidiary state. The Nawab of Oudh was the next to accept the subsidiary alliance. So, I mean, this was a sort of alliance or sort of agreement between the British and the local Nawabs, that the British were taken as the security force of that state, so that the state should not be having any attack by the neighboring state. Who was Warren Hastings? He was the first Governor General of India. Hastings, after Pitt's India Act. Keep in mind that after Pitt's India Act, Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of Britain in India in 1784. You may say that. So extended his rule by wars against Hyder Ali of Mysore, his son Tipu Sultan, and with Marathas. He was accused to bribery and corruption, and there was a trial against him in Britain. He was declared guilty, but his reputation was destroyed over there. What was sati? It was an Indian ritual in which the widow was also burnt with the dead husband. This was first banned by Aurangzeb. British missionaries also tried to ban it, but this bold step was taken by Bentinck, who was the British Governor General. Who were Thuggis? They were armed robbers in northern and central India, a sort of the common language word of the subcontinent, what we call thug, what we call the vagabonds. Robbers in northern India and central India, they claimed that they serve a goddess. They murdered their victims. In 1830, all the Thuggis were caught and dealt with the British colonial slaymen, and they came under the law. Who was Titu Mir? His real name was Mir Nasir Ali. He was a disciple of Sayyid Ahmad Shahid Barelvi. His followers were known as Hajis. His famous struggle was against the Hindu landlords who took tax on beard. He was killed by the British. I mean, he was the person who was against the British rule and the Hindu landlords. As you know, Hindu landlords. They were taking tax from all those land workers who were having beard. So he fought against those landlords. Finally, he was killed by the British. So who were Farazis? Farazis were the people who followed Haji Shariatullah, the Farazi movement followers. They were the people of the Farazi movement. They emphasized on praying for past sins and following all the religious obligations, and they even worked for the peasantry rights in Bengal. Who were Mujahideens? They were the people of Sayyid Ahmad Shahid Barelvi. Mujahideens were the people of army of Sayyid Ahmad Shahid Barelvi. They did jihad, which means to fight in way of Allah. They defeated Sikhs several times, but they were finally killed in large numbers in the valley of Balakot, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Hazara division. Who was Sirajuddaulah? He was the last independent Nawab of Bengal. He attacked the British presidency of Calcutta and conquered it, but when Clive's forces arrived, he was defeated. This was due to conspiracy of by his men, including Mir Jafar. He was executed by the British. Who was Nadir Shah? Nadir Shah was the Persian ruler. He was leader of Persia. Nadir Shah entered the Mughal Empire from Afghanistan. He captured Lahore, Peshawar, Kabul, and then Delhi and looted all the wealth, including the peacock throne. He returned, leaving the empire looted and burnt. Who was Ahmad Shah Abdali or Ahmad Shah Durrani? He was the Afghan general and leader of Persian army. He was called by Shah Waliullah to fight against the Marathas in the Battle of Panipat, defeated the Marathas. Instead of ruling himself, he made Ahmad Shah, Muhammad Shah's son, as the emperor and returned back. So 4 points are there and 4 marks question is there. So up to this point, we have talked about the 4 marks questions of section 1 of history. I will try to find out few other questions, and I will post all these questions over there in the description of the video, and you can download this file from there to prepare all these 4 marks questions given in this one. And whenever you get a 4 marker question of any of the questions part A, you can respond to those questions according to these ones given over here. And this is all from today, a small video, but I believe that would be really very much helpful, as 4 marks are really very important of every question. For example, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A. And if it is in the compulsory question, so 1A can be of 3 marks. So remaining all are 4 marks questions. So they can be really very important if you prepare them well, as you have to attempt 3 questions. So it means that at least you are supposed to be having 8 and 3, 11 marks, which may be from these short questions, 4 marks or 3 marks questions. So prepare them well. So do not forget to subscribe RU Speaks, and next inshallah we will switch back to the geography lessons, and we will start with the unit forests, and we will explain those topics of Pakistan Studies Component 2, the environment of Pakistan, I mean the geography portion. So do not forget to subscribe, watch, like, comment, and share the video with your fellows and in your circle. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.